Jesus flames of fire. Jesus flames of fire. Now, this is a spiritual message, and Jesus flames of fire. Yeah, I mean, this is dealing with a lot of stuff concerning the real Jesus. And yeah, I'm talking about the black Jesus. I'm just really emphasizing that. Anything outside of him, you people are just, you people are in trouble too, because you people really just outside of him, and see, you people who don't accept him, man, I mean, see, you're done, you're done. I'm just being real, because Jesus flames fire, all that deep stuff, getting into that. Excuse me. This stuff is not a game. That's what you gotta understand, because when the real Jesus, when he was truly in the earth realm, what you gotta understand is that he did descend from heaven and all this deep stuff, all this stuff. But overall, what I'm saying is him being in the earth realm, born in the earth realm, throughout his his whole timeline concerning the earth realm. And see, overall, pretty much, he was just a very, I want to say just very much a destiny carrier, if I'm being real, and overall a destiny, once again, carrier, and overall just very just very deep spiritual, prophetic man. And he was just a very supernatural man too, is what you gotta understand, and still is what you gotta understand too. And see, just dealing with the flames of fire, man. See, that's, this stuff is about to get really deep, and I'm already knowing. But when he, him fulfilling prophecy in the earth realm and all that stuff for his chosen people and his elect. He pretty much, he fulfilled prophecy concerning everything, throughout his whole timeline concerning the earth realm, and even ascended back to heaven and all that deep stuff. And see, this stuff is deep, because the real Jesus, he was still serious the whole timeline, all this deep stuff. And what you gotta understand is that many people misinterpret him and all this stuff. And see, what you gotta understand is that he pretty much once again, he laid down his life for his chosen people, and was just in communication with God the Father, and Jesus Christ, the real Jesus, he did not agree with everything concerning God the Father either. But overall, it was really just, your will be done, your will be done. And I'm talking about the real black Jesus. Yeah, he was more or less in the midst of this, of what I'm telling you, and even the real Jesus, him giving up the ghost and all that stuff. What you gotta understand is, without the real Jesus, there would be no getting a relationship with God, and just overall being a part of heaven, or having a chance to even once again get a relationship with God. You gotta understand that the real Jesus, he was a perfect man. He fulfilled prophecy. He did not give in to temptation. He did not give in to anything, even in the midst of him being tempted. And he did not give in to Satan, offer him the world and all this stuff. So the dude is just on a whole nother level, man. And I'm referring to him as that, he's leading me to say these things. But, the dude was just on a whole nother level. And what you gotta understand is the real Jesus, he's not to be played with, because a lot of you people, you come against the real Jesus. And what you gotta understand is that he is the real black Jesus. He's supernatural. And I already told you people many, many times too, that God the Father had 72,000 angels, ready to dispatch for the real Jesus. Because see, what you gotta understand is too, God the Father was really, really not for this stuff either, if I'm being real. But see, God the Father knew that, the real Jesus, he had to fulfill this because his blood was the only blood that was worthy, and he had to redeem his people. That's what you gotta understand, to salvation and to even get to God. Other than that, there would be no getting to God or even being a part of heaven or anything like that. That's what you gotta understand. And it gets so much more deeper, so much revelation in it, and overall, just the real Jesus just was just a destiny carrier. That's what I'm really getting into. And yeah, I mean, overall, yeah, he did just lay his life down concerning within prophetic prophecy and just within once again prophecy having to be fulfilled, and this was just a very serious spiritual matter concerning everything. That's what you gotta understand. And see, that's what I'm saying. God the Father, yeah, man. I mean, God the Father pretty much just was in the midst of all this stuff. That's all I'm saying too. And God the Father was really not really fully for this either. It's what a lot of you people may not really know. But see, yeah, I mean, he was really not for this stuff either, though. That's what you gotta understand too. And that's why when this stuff was happening and the Roman authorities and all this stuff, these certain people related to that too, they're crucifying the real Jesus and all this stuff. Overall, Satan's behind this matter too, of course. And see, God the Father, in the midst of all this happening, though, see, that's what I'm saying. God pretty much, dealt away with all them different people after the aftermath of this, and the world was pretty much just getting shooken up by God and God's anger, because God did not truly want this to be taking place either. And see, another thing you people may not know concerning me with this too, because God is leading me to say this, but yeah, mellow speaking, I don't fully agree with Jesus's, death and all that stuff either. I don't agree with it. No, I don't. But I do understand it on a spiritual level. Without him truly, the true black Jesus, without him, laying down his life on a spiritual level for his people, there would be no getting to heaven, because God the Father was truly done with everything and everybody, and all the timelines he was just still done with, because sin and all this deep stuff. You gotta understand that God truly is holy. That's what you gotta understand. He's not perfect or nothing, but he's holy. So he's holy, meaning like he's pretty much like he is pretty much just he is just he's not a part of sin, and he's not a part of the earth realm at all. That's what you gotta understand. Even though he created the heavens and the earth, yeah, but he's holy. He is holy. That's what you gotta understand. And yeah, there would just be no no being able to even just get in connection and just dealing with relationship too with God without the real Jesus, which you gotta understand. So the real Jesus, overall, he had to fulfill prophetic prophecy concerning his people, and that's it. And basically, yeah, I mean, his blood was the only worthy blood, and him descending and all that stuff from heaven and all that stuff, and the real Jesus just laying down his life for his chosen people. What you gotta understand is this stuff is very spiritual. It is. And see, you people look at this stuff on the surface, but see, the real Jesus, I'm trying to tell you now, man, you don't even understand how much prophecy that he fulfilled, man, and certain things were just not recorded too. Is what you gotta understand about all this stuff. And see, the real Jesus, yeah, man, I mean, you know, he was just all about God's will, God the Father's will, which you gotta understand. And he was the only perfect man too. So you gotta understand too, and being. So what you gotta understand is that without the real Jesus, there just would be no, there would be there would be no sacrifice. There would be nothing, there would be no getting a relationship with God or anything. It wouldn't even be any parts of heaven concerning beings and people. It just God would just be done with, away with everything as he already was in many, many timelines, you know. That's what I'm saying. God the Father, you know, he's truly, truly intense, you know, and I don't agree with God on everything, including Jesus' death too. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I don't fully agree with that either, but I do understand it on a spiritual level. I do understand it, and I bear witness with it too. In the realm of the spirit, I do. And I do know it was necessary and all this stuff. I just don't fully agree with it though. No, I don't, you know, I don't. Because Jesus went through much suffering and he was a perfect man. That has a lot to do with it. And there's many more details too, you know, but overall, like, there's nobody like Jesus, the real Jesus, Yeshua. There's nobody like him. There will never be anybody like him. And overall, he's just worthy of all praise, all worship and all this stuff, as well as God too. But see, yeah, once again, see, what you people don't understand too is that God the Father wasn't really for this stuff either. Is what you gotta understand. He wasn't. You know, that's why certain things were, you know, just getting shaken up concerning the earth and all the stuff as the real Jesus is crying out to God the Father, my God, why have you forsaken me? And see, you know, this stuff is deep because I feel Jesus's pain. You know, I can feel it on a spiritual level even now, you know, by the Spirit. And it's not a game, man, with that stuff. See, a lot of you people, you reject the real Jesus and you're going to be a part of hell. I'm telling you, and in the lake of fire, it's not a joke. It matters because God the Father is going to get you people, because you don't understand that God is, he's already done enough. Is what you got to understand. God the Father and the real Jesus have done enough. Is what you got to understand. Because, you know, it's God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit, or the Holy Ghost, as I like to say once again. And they're all, you know, it's all, you know, they're all in one within the Trinity of this stuff, is what I'm trying to say. And, you know, he went through much, just this torture. You know, they stuck a pierce through his side, blood and water came out. Man, so much stuff. You got to understand. And this stuff was all spiritual. What you got to understand is that God the Father seeing the bigger picture with everything. And yeah, I do understand it on a spiritual level. And I do bear witness with it. I just don't fully agree with Jesus's death too. No, I don't agree with it, you know. I just don't, but I understand everything concerning it too, concerning, you know, the spirit of things with it is what I'm saying, you know. But yeah, I don't fully agree with it. And see, God the Father is not, he was not fully for this stuff either. It's what a lot of you people don't know or don't understand about it either. So yeah, it gets deep. And you see, I'm just being led by the Spirit. I will not quench God and his Spirit. I will not quench him. And what you gotta understand is that the real Jesus, man, he paid a heavy price for his people. So, you know, I really love him, is what you gotta understand. I've always have, is what I'm trying to say here. And I still, like, it's at a very high capacity for both of them. And see, that's what I'm saying. The real Jesus, you know, he does not agree with God the Father on everything and all that stuff. No, he don't. even in this timeline of things. And it will always really be this way too. Because you got to understand that God the Father, you know, and see, you know, I'm just being led by the Spirit because, you know, I'm going to get into the flames of fire concerning Jesus. Yeah, I am. But see, God the Father truly do be on some other stuff. That's what you got to understand. And God, he's very cruel. And see, without the real Jesus, without him creating his son, man, God would just be really just destroying many more things. You got to understand that, you know, you people take the stuff for granted. See, Noah's day and all that stuff. You see, that's what I'm saying. God did promise that he wouldn't flood the earth anymore with water and all this stuff. And see, yeah, see, this stuff is ready to get good because see, the flames of fire. See, Jesus, God the Father he's gonna use his son to get revenge on you fucking people. And excuse my language, but see, this stuff is not a game. This stuff is not a game because see, God the Father, you don't understand that he allowed his son to go through much torment. And everything that Jesus was feeling, God was feeling at the highest capacity, is what you gotta understand, because they are within each other. That's what you don't understand. And man, see, that's what I'm saying. He was the true Messiah. And he was connected to God in the earth realm on the highest capacity that there ever will be, is what you gotta understand. And just getting into the flames of fire though with the stuff. See, God the Father is gonna use the real Jesus to get revenge on you fucking people, man. Excuse my language, but this stuff is not a game, people, because see, that's what I'm telling you. Like, it already talks about the real Jesus's eyes are on fire, because you gotta understand that the real Jesus has anger too. And see, a lot of the Jesus's anger is coming from God the Father within him, pretty much in link, I want to say, and in just by like, it's like a father like son type thing, really, concerning this stuff. What you gotta understand is Jesus really does start to understand where God is coming from concerning people, concerning the earth realm, and concerning all this stuff going on. Because you got to understand that God is not surprised by anything that's going on, is what you got to understand in all timelines. And what you got to understand is that God the Father is going to use his son, Jesus, to not only return, but see, the thing is, like, he's coming back with eyes and flames of fire. And see, man, you people done for, because you people, man, see. And this is a very intense message. It is. But this is for God's elect. And you other people, man, see. Because, see, he already came as like, pretty much like just a very, like, he was serious the whole time and all this stuff. And fulfilled prophecy, did not give in to sin and all that stuff. But he was already pretty much the lamb to be slayed, or whatever other term you want to say. And this is, that's what I'm saying, this stuff is deep, man, because he was already the lamb to be slayed, and, the sacrifice is basically what I'm saying, and that gets into, the Lamb's Book of Life being into fruition too. See, your people's names is not in that book. Excuse me, I'm already knowing, your people's names is not in that book. And see, that's what I'm saying. It will not be getting in there either. I'm telling you that now. Majority of you people, God's elect, no, this don't even apply to you. You people, you people love the real Jesus and, all this stuff. But what you got to realize is that, like I said, God the Father, getting back to God, God the Father is going to use his son to get revenge on you fucking people. And it's not a game, it's not a joke, because his eyes really will be on fire. And it already is. That's what you got to understand. And see, this fire, God is going to be raining down fire and brimstone. Because he already said he's not destroying the earth again with water, but he is going to be destroying it with fire. And he's already doing it now. That's what you got to understand. This ain't no later shit. It's what you got to understand. And pretty much, God is going to be getting revenge on everybody who rejected him. His enemies and everybody who didn't want nothing to do with him, never repented, never got salvation in his son, never accepted the real black Jesus. Is what I'm telling you. Never accepted his son. You rejected him and all this stuff. And all these devils too, these demons and these people in these high positions, all this stuff. These people who, blasphemers, all this stuff. God is going to use his son to get revenge, and, man, that's what I'm saying. All this stuff will not be a joking matter at all. Many people will be suffering. The real Jesus will be reigning with his people and everybody else will just be, it will be much chaos, and God is going to be raining down fire and brimstone, and he's going to use his son to get revenge on everybody who rejected him, didn't want nothing to do with him or his son, rejected his people, rejected his kingdom. Yeah, God is going to use his son to get revenge. And then outside of what God the Father is going to do himself too. You got to understand, because God the Father is still going to do many more things that Jesus cannot even contain, is what I'm telling you, because Jesus Christ cannot stop God the Father from doing what he does. Is what you gotta understand. He only can convince God on certain matters of things. And that's why I love Jesus, the real Jesus, and God. I do love both of them. You know, it's very intense with me too, because see, that's what I'm saying. You Christian people, you have no idea about God and all this stuff. God is on some other stuff, man. That's what I'm telling you. But he is like, he is very understanding of his people, you know, and his people's circumstances, and his people's circumstances, his people's circumstances, his people's. That's it, though. Everybody else, no, he don't care about your circumstances, and he don't care about you people, like you other people who reject him, you people who don't want nothing to do with him, you don't accept his son's sacrifice. That's what I'm saying. God the Father, outside of his son getting revenge, that's what I'm saying. His eyes are already on fire, because the real Jesus starts to see how his father is feeling, and how my father is feeling too, you know, because I'm a part of this. I'm God's son as well, you know. Of course I am, you know. But see, you know, this stuff is on a whole nother level with Jesus, you know. I already know. Yeah, no, you know, Jesus is, man, because he has a way more deeper relationship with God than me, you know, and ever will, and he deserves it, and I give him full credit for everything he's fulfilled and still fulfilling. But what you gotta understand is that, yeah, the real Jesus is just gonna get revenge on everybody, pretty much, a lot of people. That's all I can say. And everybody who's outside of his kingdom, you know, reject, you know, Bible prophecy, all that stuff. These enemies, all these be different beings. Jesus will be getting revenge with flames of fire. And God's fire is going to be just raining down. Fire and brimstone is pretty much going to be Sodom and Gomorrah again, but just a new, generation, and just a new intense high level of doing it. See, I don't want to even, I will not even be a part of that anyhow, because I'm already in the real Jesus, you know, and God, you know. But see, you other beings, you know, you're done. That's what I'm saying. The flames of fire, Jesus will be coming back with fire in his eyes. And you people will not be ready for all that. These these politicians and, you know, governments and all this stuff. No, they're done. Elites and all this stuff, they're done. You know, them are the main people too. And then all these other people, these other civilians who reject God too. Yeah, of course, they're done too. They're done. They're going to be just as done too, of course. And yeah, see, God is going to be using his son to pretty much just get revenge, because he will not be getting, you know, slayed or anything. You know, all that stuff is done away with. And see, he's coming back for revenge, and you will not stop him. That's what you gotta understand. Nobody will be able to stop the real Jesus. And see, you people, you people reject him, but see, man, I feel for you people, because you know, his eyes will be on fire. And there will be much stuff, you know. See, you know, as I'm being led by the Spirit, that fire is truly representing God's anger, the real Jesus's anger, and overall just judgment, and all this stuff, all this deep stuff, you know. And this fire is going to be doing many things to people. You gotta understand, many people will be tormented, you know, mockers, all these people. They're going to be done. They're going to be done. And they're going to be feeling God's wrath at an all-time high. And I'm just going to be very real with you. I don't have any parts in this stuff, is what I'm telling you, because, you know, I'm already a part of the real Jesus' kingdom. And, you know, I'm fully for the real Jesus. I always have been, always will be, you know, going into the spirit realm, all this deep stuff, you know, yeah, you know, I do love the real Jesus. and God the Father. But see, what God is going to be doing too, though, man. See, I will not even be a part of this stuff concerning this stuff. I'm being real. I'm going to be more or less just a part of the spirit realm and just, as I get through, judgment and all that deep stuff. But see, I'm already in God concerning his spirit and all stuff. I've already, I'm already in God and, already have true salvation. That's what I'm trying to say. Once again, I'm not here to be perfect in my speech and all that crazy stuff. But anyhow, yeah, I'm already in God and have true salvation. So, just getting through the judgment and all this stuff. But see, I'm not going to be a part of that stuff though. What I'm really talking about, like, Jesus, flames of fire and him just destroying many people, and yeah, of course, Satan will be destroyed too, a certain timeline too, by the real Jesus. But all this stuff is according to God's timing with stuff and his will and all this deep supernatural stuff. Really, if I'm being real. But yeah, Jesus' eyes is on fire though, even the now, and he's just looking, concerning many things that's going on in the earth realm too. And a lot of things he's just in agreement with God the Father too. And then other things, not so much too. But overall though, like, as I'm saying, Jesus has anger too, is what I'm trying to say. So, don't misinterpret his merciful heart. Don't misinterpret that, because he does have anger too. And you gotta understand he's very in connection and linked in with God the Father. That's what you gotta understand. So, it's father like son too, pretty much. That's what you gotta understand about this stuff. And see, Jesus, he does, he has his his own view on things too. Don't get me wrong, but overall, it's just he's still linked in with his father. That's what you gotta understand. And overall, once again, yeah, Jesus has real deal anger too, concerning righteous anger and for the kingdom of heaven, and he will be getting revenge on the wicked. So yeah, with all that being said though, you people done. I'm already knowing, because you don't even believe in these matters, and I don't have nothing to do with that. You're already under God's anger too. That's what you gotta understand with this stuff. And see, he's gonna use his son with flames of fire to get revenge on you people, and it's happening now too. That's what you gotta understand. So don't be thinking that this is some far off thing. No, this is happening now. And you people outside of him, you're not going to even be seeing it anyhow, because you're not spiritual, and you're not even, you're not going to heaven too. That's all that really deals with. But with all that being said, yeah, this is deep, and flames of fire. It's dealing with God's judgment, before I close this out, and the real Jesus will just be getting revenge on everybody who rejected him, never accepted him, all this stuff. And yeah, see, I wouldn't want to be you at that point. I really wouldn't. You people who reject the real Jesus and what he really, truly did. But overall, what he did is not for everybody anyhow. So what can I really say besides, Jesus is just going to get revenge. And everybody who truly rejected him and just didn't want nothing to do with him. And, when you reject him, you just reject God. And when you reject God, overall, you just reject everything at that point, too. You reject the kingdom of heaven. You reject eternal life. You reject everything. And see, your eternity will be with the enemy, and the devil. The devil, see, what you got to understand, too, is that the devil knows that he's not going to win against the real Jesus, and see, that's what I'm saying. Like, the real Jesus outsmarted Satan, even with his death and all this stuff. That's what you gotta understand. Because Satan is thinking the shit is over and all this shit. But see, Jesus really had to fulfill prophetic prophecy concerning his chosen people, and who really God has interest in on a spiritual level. God is leading me to say this, but yeah, see, Satan See, God is a genius and he is smart. I do get very frustrated with God at many times. Don't get me wrong. Me being part of God's kingdom, I'm not, I'm not here to give you people false hope. God is very intense and he do be doing some crazy, crazy things, man. But see, when you're spiritual though, you understand this stuff and see, he starts to show you his character with things. And you may not fully agree with everything with him either. No, you're not going to. But overall, you just have a better understanding and, you're spiritual in him. So he really tells you deep, deep things too. And see, then you start to just bear witness with things and you just walk in the fear of him. And overall, you're not against him or anything. You just don't agree with certain things, but you're spiritual in him. You belong to him. And you will be a part of heaven and, eternal life and all this stuff, and all this deep, deep stuff, and that's the most magnificent part about this stuff. But, you do got to endure and many things and many tests and overall his will, But yeah, overall, flames of fire, the real Jesus will get revenge and he's already getting it. So with all that being said, I'm out.